What if I tell you that they spent $15,000 building a Lamborghini? But it's not for driving on the road. It's a motorhome, a scale motorhome with a real working engine. And yes, they actually built it from scratch. So, where do you even start with something like this? You don't just wake up one day and start gluing parts together. A build at this level requires planning. Real planning. The kind where you're doing math, checking measurements, and mapping out every system before you touch a single component.
A Lamborghini-style motorhome in scale. Everything starts with inspiration. Lamborghini aggression, but reimagined as a motorhome.
Before the tools come out, get the proportions right on paper.
I'm going 1/6, big enough for real mechanics, small enough for a workbench. Wheelbase, track, overall length, lock the numbers before cutting anything.
Front, side, top. Orthographic views keep the build honest.
Now the packaging, where the cab ends, where the living box begins.
To keep it buildable, the body becomes modules: cab, living box, roof, bumper.
Then it goes into CAD, so every line becomes a measurement.
And the budget, engine kit, CNC aluminum, electronics, it climbs fast. And that's the blueprint. Screen to templates, templates to real parts.
Step 1 is a clean inventory. Metal, plastics, hardware. 2, everything the chassis and body will need.
And finally, hardware organization. Future me is going to be very grateful.
Measure twice, mark once. Every crossmember location gets transferred right onto the metal. This jig is the secret. If the rails start straight, the whole chassis stays straight. Before drilling anything, every hole gets indexed, so left and right parts match perfectly.
If the wheels don't track straight on the board, nothing else matters later.
Now we commit, cutting the chassis rails to length, exactly off the plan.
Deburr, label, and sort. It's boring until you realize it's what makes the build feel factory precise.
Laying everything out first makes the build feel almost surgical.
Every hole is mapped. Cross members, brackets, body posts, nothing is guessed. Drill press time. Slow, steady, and repeatable. Once parts are cut, they get organized like a puzzle, so assembly is fast and mistake-free.
If it isn't square here, it'll never drive straight later.
First assembly is always a dry fit. Everything has to land exactly where the plans say.
Because it's a motorhome, the frame needs extra support, front structure, and a long rear overhang. Now the important tabs: engine mounts, suspension points, body posts. This is where the chassis becomes a platform.
2 rails, perfectly parallel. This is the backbone of the whole motorhome.
This is the heart of the build. Tiny engine, real hardware.
Before assembly, everything gets laid out like an exploded view.
You can actually feel it. Compression, machining, tolerances, hey, all in your fingertips.
Next is the clutch side. This alignment decides how smooth the drivetrain will feel.
Moment of truth. Drop the engine in and see if the mounts land exactly where they should.
Perfectly centered, no wobble. That's what you want.
Close it up, torque it evenly. No binding, no surprises.
And here's the heavy bit, the transmission that'll move the whole coach.
This gearbox is basically a watch. Bigger teeth, same precision.
A couple millimeters here changes everything. Center of gravity, driveline angle, clearance. Once it's aligned, lock it down.
Everything has to sit straight. Engine, gearbox, shafts, one line.
Next comes the diffs. Power has to reach every axle smoothly.
Quick bench test. If it spins clean here, it'll drive clean outside. And just like that, the powertrain is in. Now we can build everything around it.
Suspension is where this turns from a model into a real vehicle. Every link has a job.
Bearings everywhere, because friction is the enemy.
Perfect pivot holes mean zero slop and smooth travel.
Lower arms first, then everything references off that geometry.
And here's the payoff. Coilovers. Real damping, real control. An anti-roll bar at this scale is wild, but it keeps the body flat in corners. Everything gets tightened in stages, so nothing binds when the axles move. Look at that travel. Smooth compression, clean rebound.
The rear is where a motorhome gets complicated. Multiple axles, shared load, tons of articulation. Then it's steering setup, toe, endpoints, and making both sides match. And now it finally moves like a real chassis, independent, controlled, and ready for the body. Full lock, and both wheels hit the exact same angle. That's the goal.
This is the trick. Machine the lip so it looks supercar sharp, but still strong like a truck wheel.
Every hole is indexed and measured, so the wheels stay perfectly true. Vent holes are mapped from a template, so every rotor matches like a real performance brake set.
Real bearings in the hubs, because smooth rolling is the whole point.
These little calipers aren't just for show. They have to sit dead center on the rotor.
Final step, torque it down, spin it by hand, and make sure nothing drags.
Before tires go on for good, the brakes get test fit. Clearance is everything at this scale.
If the wheels aren't square now, the motorhome will crab walk later, so we verify alignment early.
Step one is the map. Power in, signals out, lights, steering, throttle, all labeled.
Before anything gets hidden inside the body, every light gets tested on the bench.
This is the brain box, mounted low and centered, so the wiring stays short and clean.
Controls come next. Linkages have to move freely, with zero binding.
Once the chassis starts wearing body panels,
Routing space disappears, so every wire
routing space disappear.
Braided sleeving isn't just for looks. It stops chafing and keeps the build serviceable.
Everything gets labeled, so troubleshooting later takes seconds, not hours.
Moment of truth. Steering, throttle, and fail-safes all tested before the body hides the work. These sharp frames give the cab that supercar language. Hard lines, clean facets. Every piece starts as a template, so the cab stays consistent and repeatable.
Shape it slowly. Check symmetry, then refine until it looks like stamped bodywork.
The cab starts like a coach builder's shell. Flat panels glued and clamped perfectly square. Before it looks like a Lamborghini motorhome, it's just clean geometry, walls, floors, and openings.
Windows have to be perfect. Any wobble shows instantly once the clear panels go in.
Everything gets mapped first: panel gaps, trim lines, and symmetry points.
Test fit, mark, trim, repeat. That's how you get a factory-tight fit.
Now the fun part, turning a simple cab into a Lamborghini-inspired face.
Filler isn't cheating. It's how you get sharp creases and perfect transitions. The motorhome box starts with full-size templates. Every window and hatch has to land exactly right.
This jig keeps everything square. If the box twists, the whole build fights you later.
Long cuts are all about control. Score, repeat, then snap for a clean edge.
Next comes glazing. Cut, fit, and repeat until every window sits perfectly flat.
These internal rails are the backbone, mount points for the roof, interior, and body-to-chassis bolts.
Even the roof is modular, so the cab stays rigid, but the inside stays accessible.
The roof needs access panels, so the interior can lift out and the wiring stays serviceable. Hidden structure is the secret. Reinforced seams stop the long body from flexing.
Wheel arches have to match both sides, 1 millimeter off, and it's instantly visible.
Once the openings are right, the cab starts to feel real. Windows, doors, proportions.
Removable roof sections are tricky. Flush fit now means no gaps after paint. Long details like the awning rail sell the scale. Straight lines make it feel factory-made.
Even a motorhome gets supercar aero. These side blades tie the cab and box into one design. And this is the moment it finally reads as a vehicle. Cab and box sitting on the chassis as one.
Templates keep the interior openings consistent, especially curves that have to match both sides.
This is where the hidden engineering happens. Routing channels for wires, linkages, and service hatches.
Now it's all about clearances, wheel arches, ribs, and a clean path for wires along the walls.
Before any detailing, the body has to work like a real coach. Service access, clean gaps, and sturdy hinges.
Inside, everything is modular. Sofas, a dining table, and storage blocks that lock into the floor.
Instead of building it all in one piece, the interior is broken into sections: kitchen, bathroom, and storage modules.
Every wall gets glued and checked for square. If one partition drifts, the furniture won't fit later. Real hinges, real latch hardware, so the door opens clean and stays aligned. Even at scale, the seating has to look premium. Sport seats, clean stitching, and a perfect driving position.
Up front, it gets super detailed. Mini gauges, switches, and a clean center stack like a real performance cockpit.
Little functional details like folding steps make the model feel full scale.
The side door isn't just a panel, it's a functional assembly, aligned like a full-size coach door.
Bedroom, kitchen, and storage all lock into one base, so the whole interior can lift out for service.
Lighting is where it stops looking like a model, and this taillight is a full custom LED assembly.
First step is planning. Every LED board, every lens, labeled and matched to its exact location. Labeling the harness saves hours. When the body comes off, every plug goes back to the right light.
These tiny LEDs need protection. Heat shrink keeps the joints safe and stops light leaks. Wires stay hidden in channels so the interior still looks clean. No spaghetti behind the windows. All the lights run through a central controller. Clean power in, labeled outputs out. Up front, the headlights are layered. LED boards, reflectors, and lenses, all aligned for perfect symmetry.
Moment of truth, headlights, cabin lights, and markers all on separate channels, just like the real thing.
Before paint, everything gets leveled. Sanding removes tiny seams so the gloss coat looks factory.
After sanding, every panel gets cleaned. Any dust left behind will show up in the clear coat.
Masking makes or breaks the look. Sharp lines are what give it that supercar attitude. Tiny reference marks keep the stripes straight, because one crooked line ruins the whole illusion.
This is the unglamorous part. Skim filler to eliminate low spots, then sand it back perfectly flat.
Primer shows the truth. If there's a flaw, it pops immediately, and it's back to sanding.
The lower trim goes deep black first. This contrast is what makes the green look even louder.
Big panels are tricky. Keep the gun distance consistent so the finish stays uniform from cab to box.
Now the signature color. Thin coats, even overlap, and let the gloss build slowly.
Blue tape for the tight edges. This is how you get razor-clean window borders after paint.
Even at scale, symmetry matters. Measure, mask, and double-check before any spray hits the surface. Decals are the final jewelry. Slow placement, gentle pressure, and the edges disappear into the paint. Glazing is the scary part. One clean adhesive line, then set it once and don't touch it.
Every wheel gets a final torque check. Free spinning, no wobble, and perfect tracking.
Straight lines sell the build. Roof rails have to be dead parallel or the whole silhouette feels off.
This is the big assembly moment, getting the shell perfectly centered so every seam and door line stays crisp. Even the underside gets love. Diffuser panels and exhaust tips so it looks legit from every angle.
Final detailing is delicate. Mirrors, trim, and those tiny alignment tweaks that make it look full scale.
Look at the lines, sharp, clean, and every detail working, from the lights to the doors.
Tuning is tiny movements, quarter turns, then listen. Too rich, it bogs. Too lean, it overheats. Pre-start check, heat on, ignition ready. This is where it goes from model to machine. A little prime, just enough fuel to reach the carb. No flooding, no mess.
This is the boring part that saves builds. Check every plug, every line, every linkage, nothing binds.
And there it is, first stable idle. Now it's just fine-tuning, temperature, throttle trim, and clean response.
First blip is tiny, just enough to see the system wake up and settle into a stable idle.
And just like that, it's real. A full custom Lamborghini motorhome, built at scale, but engineered like the real thing.
Before we even fire it up for real, it's a slow control check. Steering, throttle response, and a clean failsafe.
All right, moment of truth. First real drive outside, cool, slow, steady, and listening for anything weird.
This is the handling test. Figure 8s show balance, steering precision, and how cleanly it transitions.
Look at that stance. Low, sharp, and stable. Even at scale, the suspension is doing real work.
Cones tell the truth. Tight turns, controlled weight transfer, and clean steering geometry.
And yes, fully working lights. Tap the brakes and it looks like a real coach at night. This is the shot that makes it feel full size. Those headlights, the badge, the paint, everything crisp.
Before the fast passes, just take it in. The lines, the graphics, the proportions.
Look at that stance. Low, sharp, and stable. Even at scale, the suspension is doing real work.
And that's the shot. Full-size attitude, scale precision. Built by hand, and it actually drives.